So who's been each Championship club's most impressive player so far this season? Let's talk about it. Guys, welcome back to another video on the channel. As we are now heading into another international break, I thought that now would be a good time to have a little bit of a look back on the season that's gone so far, and I'll be picking out one player from every Championship club who stood out to me so far. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this one in the comments down below. If we get it 300 likes on today's video, that would be massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's jump into this one. Barnsley, Bradley Collins. Now, in what has been a pretty unspectacular start to the season for Barnsley, Bradley Collins has certainly been their standout performer for me. He's made more saves than any other Championship goalkeeper so far this season with 43, and has also saved 2 penalties in the process. Without him so far this season, I think that things would be significantly worse for Barnsley, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's kept them in several matches so far and has definitely earned them a few points along the way as well. Birmingham, Matija, we're keeping it along the goalkeeper theme for the start of today's video, but I mean, Birmingham had a terrific start to the season from a defensive point of view. They kept 4 clean sheets in their first 6 Championship matches, and rightly so. Sarkic was getting a lot of praise during that time. I think that in those opening 6 matches, he had one of the best save percentages in the Championship. Lately, Birmingham have been shipping considerably more goals, although I wouldn't put the blame at his door really. I think that he's been let down a little bit by the defenders in front of him, and there's not really all too much that could have been done about those goals they conceded from his point of view. And when he has had a big performance for them, I think he's been the one that's really stood out to me so far from Birmingham. Blackburn Rovers, of course, it's Ben Brereton Diaz. Since his call up to the Chilean national side, he's been a completely different player for Blackburn Rovers, and even when Blackburn aren't particularly playing well, he still manages to pop up and find himself a goal. He's currently leading the way in the Championship along with Mitrovic for the most goals scored so far with 10 already. I mean, it's going to be a fantastic season and the race for the Golden Boot at the moment, because yeah, he's right up there. For Blackpool, we are going to go for Shane Lavery. At the start of the season, many people questioned whether or not Blackpool will be able to score enough goals to stay in the league. Well, so far, a lot of that goal scoring burden has fallen on the shoulders of Shane Lavery. Already scored 5 goals for Blackpool so far this season. He is their top scorer. Obviously scored at the weekend in that win over Blackburn Rovers, and considering the minutes that he's actually played so far this season, that goal output is actually really impressive. He's only played 596 minutes so far, which means he's averaging a goal every 119 minutes, which is really impressive for his first season in the Championship. Bournemouth, I'm going to go for Philip Billing. There were a few that I was considering for Bournemouth. You know, I do think the likes of Jordan Zamora and Jayden Anthony both need to be given a bit of a shout out for how they've gone on and progressed this year and developed their relationship down that left hand side. But I think there's an argument in there that Philip Billing's one of the best players in the Championship at the moment. Obviously, he was getting linked with the move away constantly throughout the summer. Bournemouth are much better for having him in that side. He's already scored 5 goals this season from midfield and seems to be thriving in this new role he's playing in this Scott Parker system. Bristol City, I'm going for Han Noah Masengo. I think that Bristol City have undoubtedly been a better side this season when he has been in the team. I know he's missed the last couple of matches because of an injury and things like that, but I mean, when Preston went to Ashton Gate especially, I got to sort of witness it firsthand, just how much he's actually progressed his game over the last 12 months or so. He carries the ball really well, he's got better at the off the ball stuff as well, and with those other players that Bristol City have in midfield, I think they've really allowed Masengo to thrive so far. For Cardiff, I'm going to go for Ryan Giles. Now, if I was doing this video a couple weeks ago, I might have gone for like an Aidan Flynn or a Sean Morrison, whose obviously goal output has been really impressive so far this season, but because of the amount of goals that Cardiff have shipped recently, I'm going to go for Giles instead, I think, who I'd still put up there as arguably the best crosser of the ball in the league. That's shown by the 5 assists that he's picked up already, but he's absolutely fantastic. He is the creative spark in this Cardiff squad, and when he's not on the pitch, you can really see them struggling to create chances. Coventry City, Victor Gyökeres. I mean, this one picks itself really, doesn't it? The rise in form and how rapid it's actually been for Gyökeres from like this point last season to right now has been absolutely astonishing, and the fact that he's only 23 as well, he's going to be in for a special season this time around. If you watched the video where I ranked Championship strikers by how many goals I think they'd all score, Gyökeres has already, I think, surpassed what I had him in for this season. So yeah, 11 goal contributions already. He's been absolutely terrific. Derby County, I'm going to go for Curtis Davis. Now, despite the penalty that he gave away against Sheffield United, other than that, he's been pretty flawless throughout the season, to be honest with you. I could have picked really anyone in that Derby defensive unit. Roos has also been really good in net as well, but I certainly think that in terms of leadership and actually popping up with a goal or two at the other end as well, you know, he's currently Derby's top scorer. Curtis Davis, at the age he's doing it at right now, I think he's immensely impressive. Fulham, of course, we're going to go for Alexander Mitrovic. When it comes to him in the Championship, we know what to expect, and so far, he's not disappointed, has he? He wasn't really utilised in their last season in the Premier League with Scott Parker, and so it does seem like he's got a bit of a point to prove this time around, that he, you know, is still like that main guy that will score all the goals for them. 13 goal contributions already this season in the Championship. It's what we expected, and he's absolutely smashing it. Huddersfield Town, we are going for Sorba Thomas. If you've been watching the channel over the last couple of months, then we've been in full of praise for Sorba Thomas, but rightly so, and we'll do the same in this video. He has been, I'd say, Huddersfield's most impressive player, not just because of the performances, but the story behind it as well. You know, his rise from the National League, playing from Boreham Wood, and how effortlessly he's been able to make this step up to the Championship. He's made more key passes this season than any other Championship player with 33. Hull City, I'm going to go for Matt Ingram. There was a few that I was thinking about for Hull, but Ingram has impressed me so far this season just because of the sheer amount of shots he's actually faced. Only Bradley Collins has faced more shots in the Championship this season so far than Hull City's Matt Ingram, with 54 shots on target against him. So he's been kept extremely busy, and it's been, you know, up to him at times to sort of keep Hull in matches and keep the scoreline down. That was certainly the case in their 2-0 win over Middlesbrough. You know, if he wasn't on form in that one, I'm in no doubt that Middlesbrough would have gone on to take the lead and go on to win that one, but because of him, he kept them in it and they got that win in the end. Luton Town, I'm going to go for Cal Naismith. I think that in the absence of Sonny Bradley for a chunk of this season so far, Naismith has actually proved to be really quite useful because of his versatility in actually filling into that role, and yeah, I think he deserves a lot of praise for that so far. Middlesbrough, I'm going to go for Isaiah Jones because he's been, I'd say, their most sort of standout player for me in what has been a pretty uninspiring season for Middlesbrough so far. Someone who has come up with a few bright spots here and there has been Isaiah Jones when he's actually managed to get himself on the pitch. He's 22, he's got a willingness to take people on, he's got a bundle of pace about him as well. So yeah, I'd like to see more of him as this season goes on because he has impressed me whenever I've seen him. Millwall, it's got to be Jed Wallace. Where on earth would Millwall be in the Championship if they didn't have Jed Wallace at their disposal? He already has 8 goal contributions so far this season, which is 4 times more than anyone else in that Millwall squad. Millwall have known this for quite some time now, but Wallace is undoubtedly one of the best attackers in the league, and his numbers once again this season back up that claim. Nottingham Forest, Philip Zinkernagel. I think that even in the period where Forest were really poor at the start of the season, Zinkernagel was one of the few players who was still putting in sort of a shift week in, week out, and he was someone that Forest were probably looking at to conjure up something out of nothing, you know, in that Chris Hughton system that wasn't really creating a clear flurry of goals or chances and things like that. It was all sort of on his shoulders. His numbers have been impressive so far. He has 6 goal contributions and also bagged a couple of assists at the weekend. With Peterborough, I'm going to go for Siriki Dembele. They've certainly had their struggle so far, but I think that Dembele has been central to a lot of the positive things that they've been doing. He's only got 1 assist in the Championship to his name so far, but that doesn't really paint the picture of just how influential he has been, especially in the matches that Peterborough have found themselves on top. I don't think that things have quite clicked for Johnson Clark-Harris when he's been on the pitch so far, and I would certainly say that Dembele has looked like their most threatening player whenever I've seen Peterborough. Preston North End, Josh Earl. I think that Earl is one of the biggest benefactors of us switching to this wing-back system this time around, because I think that he's perfectly suited to that role. With his athleticism to sort of get up and down the pitch, his attacking sense has always been sort of a strong asset of his game, and the one weakness he had was those sort of defensive liabilities. But with that relationship that he's built up with Andy Hughes, who I'd also put forward as one of Preston's highest performing players so far this season, that's just allowed Josh Earl to really thrive, obviously. Scored his first goal for the club at the weekend as well, and yeah, I think he's been really good. I'd also put Emile Reese up there as well, but Josh Earl just takes it for me. QPR, I'm going to go for Rob Dickie. At the start of the season, we had him channeling his inner sort of like Ronald Koeman as he scored 4 goals in his first 6 matches matches in all competitions of this season, but what's been most impressive has been his defensive contributions to this side. You know, thinking back to that goal line clearance against Hull, which was a massive sort of turning point in that game, he's been absolutely fantastic. His towering presence at the back, along with his ability to play out from the back, undoubtedly makes him one of the best defenders at this level. With Reading, of course, we're going to go for John Swift, and I think there's an argument in there that he's been the best player in the Championship so far this season. With the departure of Michael Elise in the summer and then long-term injuries to the likes of Lucas João and Yaku Mate, you'd be forgiven for, you know, sort of coming into this season thinking that Reading might struggle for goals, but John Swift has taken all that sort of pressure and completely thrived with it. He scored 7 goals as well as picking up 5 assists already this season, which is absolutely phenomenal. Sheffield United, I'm going to go for Morgan Gibbs-White. I was torn between him and Billy Sharp, but I think that it's been no surprise that Sheffield United's levels of performances and results have started to pick up as soon as Morgan Gibbs-White came in and was introduced into that starting 11. His numbers have been good so far this season. In his 6 appearances, he's already got 5 goal contributions, and he's been useful in whatever role he's sort of been used in, whether he has been playing as that number 10 or out on that right hand side. Stoke City, Mario Vrancic. Now, there were a few that I was thinking about for Stoke, but I think that Vrancic is the one for me. He just oozes class, doesn't he? I think that he's the perfect embodiment of how Stoke have gone about transitioning their style of play this season. Such a silky player. I thought he was really good when Stoke came to Deepdale the other week. He averages 3.2 key passes per 90, which is one of the best in the Championship in that regard. He's already got a great relationship with Nick Powell, who he himself is, I think, thriving because of that relationship. And yeah, Vrancic, he's one of the best operators in the league in the stuff that he does. Swansea City, Joel Perreault. Now, last season, a lot of the times when we, you know, got talking about Swansea and things like that, we'd often end up talking about Andre Ayew and how he'd end up being sort of a match winner in some of the tight matches that Swansea have had because he was able to conjure up something out of nothing. Well, Joel Perreault has really done well to sort of step into those shoes that were left by Ayew last season, because he already has 5 goals to his name this season, and considering Swansea's lack of goals from elsewhere in the squad, his goals have been absolutely pivotal. He scored 55.5% of Swansea's total goals so far this season, and I've been so impressed by how quickly he's taken to life in the Championship. Finally, finishing it off with West Brom, we are going to be going for Alex Mowat. The guy just does not score tap-ins, doesn't he? He doesn't know how to. He scored a few absolute worldies so far this season, and he's already having his own sort of like goal of the season competition by himself. But I think that everyone expected this transfer to go well, but maybe not quite as well as it has actually gone so far. A couple of the players that I'd pick out from West Brom, Callum Robinson, as I always like to, I think has done well so far this season, and you'd also maybe pick out the wing backs and things like that, but no, Alex Mowat for me, the most impressive one for West Brom. But guys, there we have it. There was one player from every Championship club who I myself have been most impressed by so far this season. Do you agree with my picks? Let me know down below. Who would you pick out from your club as your best performing player so far this season? I want to hear from you. But apart from that, guys, that will wrap it up for today's video. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and do stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. Apart from that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.